Change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come. Change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come. Oh yes it will. Change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come. Change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come. Oh yes it will.
Hi, my name is Lewis Nash Sr. and I'm running for state representative of the 181st Legislative District. I'm here with a few friends that re-enter into society to find out how they feel, how have society been kind to them, and me as a state representative, hopeful, once I've been elected, I want to know what I can do for my friends and to help them out. Because we know once you pay your debt to society, then you should be clear to operate and move about as freely as any other ordinary citizen. So, how are you, gentlemen? Introduce yourselves.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm thankful for having the opportunity to be here. My name is John Pace. I was 17 years old when I was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole in light of the United States Supreme Court decision.
Wow.
That decision was overturned, and so I was released last year. So I've been out for 1 year now. Fortunately, I was pretty active while inside, trying to think about what it would look like transitioning out. And so I've been pretty blessed in terms of my support directly. And so I currently work for YSRP, which is Youth Sentencing Reentry Project. And part of the work with YSRP is they initially started off dealing with young people who have had contact with their criminal justice system. How do they create a narrative that would allow the judge to see them in a more holistic way? And so when the juvenile lifer issue came along, they began to look at the juveniles as well. And so once I came out, they brought me in as the reentry coordinator. Because just imagine the thought that you have men and women who've been incarcerated for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I actually served 31 years myself. And so, we got quite a few men that serve over 40 years. And so we are dealing with a unique population now. And so one of the things we were interested in knowing as we transitioned out, what kind of support would be available for the men and women that would be coming out. So, as they're coming out now, they're older now. They haven't been in the workforce, because they were like 15, 16, 14 years old and 17 years old when they went to prison. And so one of the challenges that they haven't been in the workforce, and how do you adjust in terms of from a social standpoint? You've been away and society has changed. And so some of the challenges that I've been seeing, we just actually had a meeting yesterday, and so one of the older gentlemen, he'll be 60 years old pretty soon, and so he went to try to get, the PHA, trying to get housing, but he's, in order to get housing, he has to be like 62, he's not 62, and so he has disability, but one of the programs that they have are talking about, well, it's not steady income, and so he's dealing with the issue, dealing with housing issue. And so that's been so the focus I've been focusing on is healthcare, housing, and employment. And one of the biggest challenges is probably finding meaningful employment, because you can get probably even hacks. You might run into that $8 job, and one of the, I think, misnomers with regard to this ShopRite that's been, they've been talking about up this solution. Well, that's not a real, I think, viable job, because if anybody knows ShopRite, what happens is they hire you, and when they hire you at $8 an hour or something like that, your times are all over the place. That's not a meaningful, opportunity for an individual. And so that's been some of the main concerns that we've been having, is finding meaningful employment as we transition out. And I'm particularly concerned too is, how do they adjust socially? Because emotionally they've been pretty much, adapted to prison environment. Now they're transitioning. So we haven't had, even though I've been trying to garner support, we haven't had like a steady, particularly, we've been meeting with state representatives or whatever, sparingly, but it hasn't been no real flow of, okay, here, this is something that's in place to help this population come back. And so that's something that I would definitely like to see, a more focused effort with the juveniles that are coming out.
Okay.
Well, I definitely enjoyed that. I always like listening to information and other people's viewpoints on reentry. My name is Adam McNeil. I'm the president and founder of Stay Focused PHL, which is a nonprofit organization for juveniles and adolescents, 13 to 25. My focus is on prevention. Like I said, I'm a returning citizen. I was sentenced to 6.5 to 13 years at the age of 18 years old. I ended up doing 8.5 years. I maxed out, gave some time back, went upstate, learned some law, got a PCRA and went down on writ. Came home after 5 years, went right back for aggravated assault. I thought that my life was changing. I thought that I was doing the proper things to, stay home. I had 2 jobs, and I wasn't really looking for trouble, which is something that, I found myself in. And I went back to prison, and they maxed me out, spent 3.5 years, and, then I came home. When I came home, my focus was completely different. I said, you know what, it's easy to go back when you're doing the right things. And a lot of people don't shed light on that. It's always easy to get caught up in a situation if you don't leave certain situations alone. So I said, well, how can I make a difference in the community? How can I make a difference with these young black men? How can I make a difference with these young black women? How can I be an example to them? So I started mentoring back in 2015. Shortly after I came home, I maxed out December 15th, 2014. By March, I was mentoring at the Net, which is on 5th and Spring Garden, Northeast Treatment Center. I was co-facilitating with a doctor. His name is Dr. David Pulley. And I met him after I spoke out against Seth Williams, the old district attorney. He had a forum on mass incarceration. They were talking about solitary confinement. And a lot of the things that he was saying, it made me mad. Because you're sitting up here talking to a whole bunch of millennials and professionals about X, Y, and Z, and how you're trying to combat, reentry, and you're trying to stop the recidivism rate, and you're sitting up here trying to talk about topics that you've never been involved. You've never been in solitary confinement. I spent 18 months in solitary confinement. There's no such thing as 23 and 1. Like I told people, I was a savage when I was back there. I stayed locked down for 24 hours straight unless I had to go to medical or something like that. I didn't go outside. I didn't take showers. I washed up in my cell because it was degrading. It was demeaning. And men who have spent time in that hole, that box, they know what the guards do to you. And it was just something that I couldn't stomach anymore. So I spoke up about it. And that's when I met Dr. David Pulley. I met a whole bunch of other individuals. And that's when my life kind of turned into this could be something meaningful. So I started doing the mentoring program. I started building relationships. I started knocking down walls. And this is what I figured out within the last 2.5, 3 years, that in order to reach the youth population, you have to be somebody that can relate to them. They're not going to listen to you if they feel as though that you have anything to offer if you cannot relate to their story. I've been homeless. I've been addicted to drugs. I've been in the streets. I've been in prison. You name it, I done done it. They tried to kill me when I was in a juvenile facility. I spent 18 months in a juvenile facility. They shattered my face. They broke my jaw. I got a metal jaw from here to here. They beat me with a baseball bat. So it's laying in a hospital bed with tubes in your body, and your mom is trying to figure out how she can scrounge some change up to get from Philly to Pittsburgh. It's wow. So when I give my testimony to them, it opens up that door to, hey, listen, I've been through what you're going through. I don't want you to go through what I've actually gone through, though. So my focus is on trying to recultivate a generation. It's on rebranding who they are. It's recreating their minds. It's like a harvest. I look at the children as a garden. In order for us to really reach them, we have to get new soil. We have to turn that soil. And when we plant those seeds of encouragement, motivation, inspiration, and things of that, we have to water that. And I feel as though that ex-offenders, individuals that are in reentry, are so highlighted right now because we are the ones that are giving back in droves. And the city of Philadelphia has to see that. They have to understand that the recultivating of the city of Philadelphia is being recultivated by the same individuals who ruined Philadelphia, the ex-offenders. If we band together and we work diligently, there's no I in this. And this is what I have found out. A lot of individuals want sole custody, sole gratification for their efforts. You have to be selfless. This is not about you. This is about somebody else. But you have those individuals who had that mentality. I want to shine because I want people to know what I did. It's not about what you did. You're supposed to do this because God sent you through everything that you went through so you could be a testimony and you could be a light to everybody else. So I feel as though that if we come together collectively, we'll have a larger impact. But we need the help from the city. See, now we could do this on our own and we can navigate because, we've been in the streets, so we know how to, finagle things. We know how, exactly, because we know how to survive. So if we're not getting the support from the city, we can get the support from ourselves. But what greater support to have between ourselves, because I believe in us we trust, but what greater support to have but from the city? That's what we need. The state representatives, the city council members, the council people at large, that's who we need. Because we're showing you that we are making the incentive to change the city. I have an event at the Wells Fargo Center on May 19th. We're hosting over 250 kids. We're sponsoring over 250 kids. In my mind, I want to see more than 250. I want to see about 500. But it's geared to change their lives. And we have, an individual by the name of Bobby Harris, He was also one of the juvenile lifers. And he's going to be one of the speakers that is at the event. So, we want to get them out here. We want to give them entertainment. We want to take their walls down. We want to, bring their defenses down. And we want to have a day of peace for the youth of Philadelphia because we want to see if you continue in this violence, if you continue in this foggy disposition or, this anger, this is where your life can possibly go.
So, hearing your story, and excuse me from using the word your story, hearing your testimony about your encounter and the response that you have received and the lack of help and the insufficient information and the disinformation that you received. One of the things I'd like to address is I think Brown ShopRite is doing a great job by even offering this. Mr. Brown, I did have the pleasure of meeting him and talking to him. Now, one of the things I heard you say was that the salary and the time fluctuation can be detrimental to people's families and trying to maintain that status quo. So one of the things I'm interested in is sitting down with him again once I become state rep and perhaps before that and perhaps bringing us together because he needs to hear this testimony that you just gave and then that would perhaps make him go back to the table and reconsider how they adjust the time clock. I'm familiar with that. I worked for Walmart when I came, to take care of my family and the time fluctuation. I worked for UPS, the time fluctuation. And being a union man for 30 years, the time fluctuation could be very difficult. And plus time and travel, and that could be a real hazardous situation. And for us, also, number two, you spoke about the gentleman that was 60 years old and on disability and tried to go into PHA housing and tried to get some disability housing. In fact, the law says that if an individual is disabled, he is allowed to move into any disabled facility that has available room. So that information that was given to you, it was wrong. See, me being a nonprofit organization called Mankind Against Poverty, Holistic Community Development, it is my job to get that information. And this is the reason why I'm running for state representative, because of disinformation and the lack of information and participation and showing some enthusiasticness about it and motivated to help our brothers and sisters that's re-entering into society. And I haven't even heard too much about the re-entry of society from the female perspective. I want to look into that. So I'm going to tap into you guys and do that. And so I want to work closely with you as a community organizer who's running for state office and see how much information and resources I have and make them available to you to help you help us. Because when you help us, right, if I help you and you will be helping us, we create a better society, a safer society. And I found that men that have been incarcerated that I know of, that came home, it's like the military, the veterans. They incarcerated themselves voluntarily for a while. and they suffered a whole lot of things that we just finding out. And one of the things that we're going to, you come back to society from Agent Orange, and then society's supposed to take care of you. But they're not giving you the information, they're giving you lack of information, they're not giving you the resources that's available. It's a lot of resources available to my brothers and sisters that re-enter society. But one of the things I think that on your behalf and his behalf, the nonprofit organizations that makes a lot of money off of you guys, right? And it's great if you start one, like he started one, and we all come together and say, listen, let's see how this resources and information is benefiting the people. Because sometimes when we take this, brother, just having a social program and going out and talking about it, we need to start back economics. Let's build some things that will turn around and bring us up economically, that bring about a residual income. You follow what I'm saying? Society, re-entry to society, families, right? Nonprofit, dollar store, car wash companies, paper companies, and this is all for those who reinventing the wheel. Coming back into society. So we need to revisit how do we make money to assist them. See, it's all right if the government give us some money, right, and say, here, take $300,000 and go tell me what you could do with it, and you go out there and you promote what you're saying, and even perhaps like you're talking about the Wells Fargo Center, having a big show, right? Well, we need to take that money that comes from that show and buy 5 pieces of land, build on it, and now that's a residual income. So now you ain't got to ask nobody for nothing. And so I'm finding out the danger is giving us a grant and not a contract. It's a difference from a grant that you and 5 other organizations or 30 organizations around the country or around the city or around the state got to fight for. Right. But if I give you a contract that's worth $3 million and you can purchase a building, you know what I'm saying, and house them people and give them a social program, so now they got a place to sleep, eat, and get the help that they need. Those are the kind of things I think state reps, new state reps and present state reps should be looking into.
I think it's a healthy initiative to, have any type of financial literacy within our community, especially like reentry. And I'm very big on that. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I sold drugs, I stole cars, I robbed people when I was growing up.
So you was a chemist too?
Everything, you know what I mean? So, my thing is from...
You sold drugs, you was a chemist.
My thing is from the kitchen to the corner, so this is just how my life reflected, but in looking at certain things, I've just figured out that I didn't ask nobody how to go get money when I was selling drugs.
Right.
I learned it.
And one of the things I know that they said because I happened to go to court with my brother, they said manufacturing, producing, and distributing.
Absolutely. So you're an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur, and a lot of people don't know that they're entrepreneurs.
They need to wrap those skills up and move.
Well, that's what one of Brown's argument is that these guys are probably better equipped. That's why he preferred to hire them because of
their skills.
So I think that we have to teach these individuals how to become entrepreneurs. How to make a source of revenue. I always like to use negative examples versus positive examples. And I told my young men last Wednesday in my group, I said, I can make more money selling water than drug dealers will make in a week. I said, because drug dealers have no concept of money management. And because you're out there, it's fast-paced, everything is being, I said, but I could buy 10 cases of water for $4, and I'm getting 40 waters. I said, that's $36 a case, 10 cases, that's $360 for the day. $200 just on saving, you made $1,000 for the week. There you go.
4 weeks work for me.
Listen, absolutely. 4 weeks, you have $4,000 to get a permit. You got a car. I said, my thing is this: is you have to understand that there's a lot of opportunities in making money that are safe and legit and sound. I said, but when you're hungry and you don't have no direction, then you make mistakes.
Let me tell you. I got this thing that says, excuse me, I know we're going to wrap this up. I have this great statement. You want to say something first?
No, I was just saying.
Okay. I have this. Okay. Well, give me 1 second. 2 seconds. I got this particular statement that I always talk about. I watched my mother drown, and I couldn't do nothing about it.
As a true statement?
It is a true statement. when you look at society and the things that's happening, she was 34 when she died, and she went from welfare to disability, and from having 7 children to a nervous breakdown, from a nervous breakdown coming home to be with us for 4 years of her life, right? And then she ended up dying right after they gave her the disability check, a few months. So look at society, how it sucks you in and keep you there so they can have that revolving door of finances. Because without you, there's no warden. Without you, there's no need for the police in that area. Without you, there's no need for the higher rank of security. And what I'm saying without you, meaning that if you are pipelined into the system, it keeps a recycle going, and that warden doesn't lose his job. So the courts, the lawyers, everybody's making money off us but us. And so I'm with you, and I thank you for coming.
Yeah, I just want to say, and I really appreciate hearing, what you're doing. I think that's wonderful, for real. That's one of the things that we're trying to do as a group right now. So we're trying to explore a nonprofit status. And so I'm working for YSRP, but part of my work is to help facilitate the growth of the group itself. How do I try to bring resources to the group? So if y'all want to move into nonprofit status, how do I bring those resources to the group? Right. So that's part of my job, and so we've been exploring that right now.
Because we have to wrap this up, and I want to thank you gentlemen for coming. But I just want to say to you, call me to your affairs and outings, and I'd love to come speak to them and tell them how we all had to pull up our bootstraps. We all was in this cesspool drowning, and God has blessed us to become a lifeline to come back and reach out. And if they will reach out as we throw them a lifeline, then that's what we can pull them up out of the cesspool of drowning, of economic downput and social downput and mental downput, and they can come up now and help us help some other people enter society and unifying ourselves together and making things happen for us. So it's a FUBU moment for us and by us. We got to come together. Thank you all for coming. And I'm State Representative Lewis Nash Sr., and I'm running for the 181st Legislative District, and I will just tell you, tune into your voice being heard in Harrisburg. Once again, thank you.
A change gon' come, a change gon' come, a change gon' come. A change gon' come, a change gon' come, a change gon' come. Oh yes it will, a change gon' come, a change gon' come, a change gon' come. A change gon' come, a change gon' come.